Oh, hello, everybody. This is Tom Hurford. I'm the CEO of Fixters.com, and I wanted to welcome you to the first episode of Fix and Flip Uncovered. The number one request, far and away, from our users is to show us real properties with real numbers. And so that's what we've decided to do. And we created the series Fix and Flip Uncovered to be able to give people an opportunity to see actual properties that we've completed. In this particular property in William Street that we're going to go through, that we've completed in the last 45 days. And it gives you an opportunity to see the before and after. We talk about how we sourced the property, and we want to be able to go through and provide any level of detail and questions that people are looking to try and find. So what I want to be able to do is, after you submit your questions through the chat during the presentation, I'll hold those until the end, and then we'll go through and deal with each one of those and answer all the questions at the end of the presentation, so that we have a limited amount of time and we can go through and cover everything at the very end. So the little history about us as we go through, this is the agenda. We've completed over 150 fix and flips over the last 5 years, and we were frustrated that we couldn't find a software technology backbone that would be able to handle the level of detail of doing that many properties at one time. And so that is how Fixters was born. I did my very first flip in 1990, which makes me feel old. But Fixters is really born out of the experience of what we've found and the things that we've run into and what we've wanted to see to be able to analyze properties quickly. And so we've created an affordable system for the first-time flipper that will really take you from the very beginning of education all the way through to the very end to manage a property and take you all the way through to analyze your results. So as we go through, the property that we're going to cover today is on William Street in Littleton, Colorado. And the way that we found the property was we work with a program that we've been doing for the last 2.5 years or so that isn't anything revolutionary, that we call the Transition Flex Plan. And Next Stage Properties is our property acquisition part of the business. And it is set up as a program for realtors. And this is one of the brochures that we use that describes what we do. And the Transition Flex Plan is essentially a program that allows you to come in, make a cash offer, treat people correctly, and we allow them to be able to leave their personal belongings they don't want to take with them. A lot of times when we purchase a property, we'll allow someone to stay in the property for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, even up to 6 weeks, if that helps with their transition into another phase of their life. And about 80% of the properties we receive is through this program, and the vast majority of that is for seniors or estates, for people that are looking to transition. It's an emotional time. And we have a lot of people look to go to lifestyle communities or just simply downsize and move closer to kids, grandkids, somewhere warmer from where we are in Colorado. And the program basically for realtors is that we use this brochure for them as well, and we wanted it to be in writing and we wanted it to be in black and white so that they knew that exactly what the program works. And these brochures, we're more than happy to send you a PDF of the copy of what we have. If you send me an email, and I'll have my email address at the end, or you'll have an opportunity through this webinar to enter your email address, and we'll be happy to send you the PDF of the two brochures. But basically, the way that it works is we allow an agent to be able to, with one phone call, turn one difficult listing into 5 transactions. And the way that works is, in the brochure, rather than dial in and zoom in and look at one section, the first scenario that we talk to with agents is that if you get a listing call and you go out and you realize you have a property that is incredibly outdated or bad pet odor or a lot of maybe structural issues, maybe just general repair, then if you give us a call, we come in. If you have a listing agreement and we end up purchasing the property, we ask that agent to act as our transaction broker or our buyer's agent. So they can double end the front, which saves commissions for the seller and also makes more commissions for the real estate agent. So those are the first two potential transactions. Then we are not licensed realtors for this program. And if there's a follow-on transaction where you have a seller who wants to be able to downsize and they would like our help in being able to buy the new property, we'll refer that back to the agent that brought it to us. So that's transaction number 3. Then at the end of the property, when we're finished renovating it, we'll offer that agent the opportunity to list the property, and we ask for a 1-point rebate on a full commission. And the reason for that is that we turn over a fully completed property, and we target what we call a new home and an old shell that we already know a good idea of what the price is. We already know and what has been done. So we provide the full scope of work. We provide a home warranty. So the amount of work that a realtor has to do versus a traditional listing is much less. And we average selling properties at 50% more than what we paid for them. So it's a fair deal for the realtor. And that's transaction number 4. And then transaction number 5 is theoretically the agent received this property because they were farming their area, or it was a relationship that they built out of their sphere. And then in a low inventory market like we have in Colorado and many parts of the country, if there is another buyer that they've got for that area, we know what our price is that we're trying to ask. And if that broker can bring a buyer and they can double end the back as well, more power to them. So in a challenging real estate market with low inventory, for one phone call for an agent to be able to turn one transaction into potentially 5, we get a lot of phone calls first because we treat people fairly and we're building a good reputation with realtors. And this is a program that anybody could put into place, so it's nothing special. And this is how we got that program or this individual property on Williams. And let me describe what the situation was. Oh, I'm sorry. In the second scenario that we have with the agent, a lot of times that we will run into situations where a seller will say, I could put a sign in the yard and I can sell this in 2 hours. I don't need an agent. The agent then can go in, bring us in, and if we end up buying that property at a price that works for us, we'll pay a 3% referral fee back to that agent, and then everything else kicks in from there. But let me describe a little bit about the seller situation for what we were doing. So the realtor met the seller just working out the local gym, and they became friends. And the realtor had attended one of the presentations of this program at their sales meeting about a week earlier, and she was a relatively new agent. And the townhome that I'm going to show you was previously occupied by the seller's mother, and she had passed away about 12 months earlier. There were 3 heirs to the estate, and one was the seller, which is a daughter, and there was a sister who lived in New Zealand and a son. The seller's son wanted to be able to rent the townhome, and her brother was going to be retiring and was getting prepared to be able to purchase the home from the estate and turn it into the beginning of a rental portfolio for himself. While the seller's son was in the property, he did not take care of it. He had multiple friends living with him. They trashed the property and each had dogs, and it had major pet odor from the dogs. Then while the son lived there, unfortunately, the brother passed away. So the sister in Colorado became the personal representative for both of the estates. Her mother had not settled the estate yet. Her sister couldn't help her since she was half a world away. When she found out what the state of the property was, she was embarrassed by it. She felt emotionally tired, and she felt that she had let her mother down, and she simply wanted a fair, and she wanted an easy transaction, and had talked to the realtor about getting some help to try and do it without putting it on the MLS and having a ton of showings. And that's how we got involved. So when the first time when we heard about it from the real estate agent, we ran it through the flip analyzer from Fixters, and the ARV estimate from the agent that we were working with, based on the comps in the area, and she did an in-depth analysis for us, felt that the property would be worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $375,000 if it was fixed up. And the purchase price that we had from the seller, they had an idea of the property in that state was worth about $260,000. And there, with a townhome, the great thing about a complex, you have a lot of exact comps. And looking at unupdated properties in the condition that this one was in, they felt that $260,000 was a reasonable price. So we looked at it. As we did the flip analyzer, we felt that the rehab cost was approximately $51,000, almost $52,000. Our holding cost was $1,000 for, and we define that as utilities, HOA. So our total investment in the property would have been the $260,000 plus the $52,977. At that ARV of $375 for the sale price, our estimated profit on paper before we saw the property was $43,250, 13.8%. Our minimum threshold target for the properties that we try and do is about 12.5%, depending on a number of factors. So we felt that this was worthwhile to go out and see it. So when we got to the property, the before photos, this particular HOA is responsible for the complete exterior of the property. That includes the roof, which in Colorado is a beautiful thing with the amount of hail that we tend to get coming off of the mountains. And then the exterior was in great shape with paint. The fence was a little dated. The exterior for the siding was in good shape. The fence in the back was just simply worn, faded from the sun, but again, that was the HOA's issue. You're looking at the interior, you can see that it was very old. It had old original wood trim. Baseboard was the old original baseboard. You saw the fireplace, the original moss rock with a raw wood mantle, very indicative of the 80s, 90s, with wooden slat blinds as well that you can see right here. Very dark. The colors were very dark. Carpet was a mess. And if you look at the kitchen, it was even worse shape. Even though it had original oak floors, they were water stained, had heaved in a number of places, old oak cabinets. It was a mess, as you can see. This was the state that we got it in. It was a very small and tiny kitchen, as we find a lot in the properties here. So as we went through, the bathrooms all were very outdated, were very small, very dirty, and the bathrooms basically had to be completely gutted and updated. So as we walked through and we began to create our remodel plan for the properties, we felt that the number one item that we needed to be able to do was to be able to open up the kitchen. A lot of the older homes, townhomes that we run into is what we call the brown alcohol generation, where you have the closed off kitchen, you have the closed off dining room that are set up for Mad Men, where you've got 3-4 hour dinner parties. So we try to open up as many kitchens as we can and add breakfast bars, because families today with kids in sports, school, a lot of people eat on the run and things have changed. So an open and airy floor plan is really important. We felt that it was necessary to be able to lighten the home, so we wanted to have a lighter decorating package, brighter colors. We wanted to add kitchen and entry hardwood, that we needed to rip out the existing oak. We couldn't refinish it and restain it. It wasn't salvageable. And we also felt that making a statement at the entry with hardwood would have helped as well. And then we felt obviously that we had to have complete bathroom remodels, of which there were 3 in the townhome. We wanted to expand the laundry area in the basement and be able to enclose the HVAC in the basement as well. And then new paint, carpet, and hardware throughout. So fortunately, in this property, the windows were in great shape. So we were fortunate enough to be able to keep those. So as we went through, here's the outside. Again, nothing has changed. The fence we didn't do anything with. All we did was power wash it. And again, that's the responsibility of the HOA. And they had it on their schedule that they would have been on a rotating basis staining it anyway. So we knew that that was going to be completed. For the interior, you can see a major league transition where we didn't do anything drastically different other than we opened up the kitchen by cutting the wall out. You can see that we went with a light gray carpet, and then we carried the hardwood from the entryway into the kitchen. And then you can see that it looks much, much more airy. And then we painted the baseboard from the original brown. We didn't even replace it. We painted the doors, baseboard, and any of the casing around the windows as well. And if you look at the before and after pictures, we kept the original stone. All we did was just clean it up a little bit. And all we did was paint the raw wood, took a number of coats, we sealed it with Kills, and it turned out great. And the original stone that was in front of the fireplace worked great with the lighter color scheme, and the difference was dramatic. On the right side, we put in a dry bar, which greatly helped. That space was already there for a large old style TV, but we made a better use of that space with a dry bar, which is right there. Then you can see in the master bedroom, just painted the doors, didn't have to change them. The windows were already a two-tone above and below. In the bathrooms, we didn't go overboard with super expensive vanities, and we used quartz for the individual countertops, and we created a two-sink vanity in the master bath, upgraded the shower as you can see, gray package tile, and really just painted everything else. Then in addition, you can see the size of the master turned out great. Again, in the kitchen, you can see the hardwood. We went with a light package, and then we moved the refrigerator from the right side against the wall, which gave it a much more open, airy feeling, and then went out into the breakfast bar, which you can see right here, that went out into the main living area, and then we flopped the dishwasher from the one side to the other to be able to make the space even better for where the stovetop is. Again, you can see a better look like this. We put in the undermount sink, the microwave above. This is the entry going out into the garage. So now when people come in from the garage, it immediately flows really, really well. This is the before, and this is the after picture. And again, it looks so much bigger, but we didn't alter the size of the kitchen at all. All we did was move things around to make it more usable and a more livable space for what people are looking for today. Then in addition, we added additional pantry and storage on the walls going out as we've opened it up just a little bit more. So it's a huge amount of cabinet space, and the flow has been greatly improved. Bathrooms, pretty straightforward tile package, straightforward vanities that we bought at Home Depot, wasn't anything special. Then in the basement, we were fortunate in that we didn't really need to do much in the way of renovation. It was mostly paint, carpet, and then we, in the bedroom basement, or the bedroom in the basement, then we were able to just simply paint it. It's non-conforming, but it was the way that it was presented to us. And then we upgraded the bathroom as well. And that's basically what we did. So as we go through and we look at the actual financial results, we actually sold the property. We listed it and we sold it at $380,000, and we went ahead and listed it at $375,000. We had 2 offers on the property. We sold it in 4 days. And at the $380,000 offering price, our exit cost $21,788.99. Our net sales proceeds $358,211.01. From a total investment standpoint, with commissions and other closing costs, our actual purchase price ended up being $263,254. Our rehab cost was very close to our original budget. We came in slightly under, which is what we always try and do, and came in at $49,766.59. And then between HOA and utilities, $516.63. So our total cash investment, and for this property, we did it with all cash, was $313,000, $313,537.31. So our net profit complete on the property was $44,673.70 at 14.25%, slightly better than our original projection at 13.8, and our cash on cash return was 14.25%, and we turned the property from close to close in 92 days. And the 92 days is generally faster than what we experience, as we try and turn our capital 3 times a year. So our target is 122 days. So this one was a little faster than we normally expect. Then if we had used a hard money loan for this individual property, we wanted to be able to show what those results would have looked like. If we had used the flip analyzer and gone through, we would have been able to analyze those results if we had used a hard money loan as well. So in this case, the total project cost would have been $313,537. And for this estimation, or for this analysis, we did a 20% cash investment, which would have been $62,707. And our loan amount, using an 80% loan to cost, which would have been 80% for the purchase and then 80% of the finance of the rehab, would have been $250,830 for the loan amount. And we factored in a 2-point loan origination fee and interest at 12% for the full 92 days of the holding period. So our 2 points of origination for the loan would have been $5,017. The interest expense would have been $7,587. And we did not include any additional fees such as appraisal, as we didn't want to really muddy the waters. So the return on a cash-on-cash basis, if we had used leverage for this, was our net profit of the same $44,673.70 minus what our origination fee would have been, minus our interest expense, would have given us a net profit of $32,069.70, with our cash investment of $62,707. Then that would have gotten us to the point where our cash on cash return would have ended up being 51.1%, which is simply the amount of the return, the $32,069.70, divided into our cash investment. If we had analyzed that with the 92 days, we would have turned that just under 4 times, which would have given us an annualized cash-on-cash return of over 200%. So this property is not unusual for us from a return standpoint. The only difference is that we turn this from the very beginning to the very end in only 92 days, when we know that nationwide, if you read some of the Realty Track articles and some of the targets that people have, the average flip is running about 185 days this year, and we were fortunate to do it about half of that amount of time. So the numbers worked out extremely well. 14% for us is about what our normal return average is. And this was the type of property that we love because we're able to get into it. It is a property that is mostly cosmetic, that doesn't have a huge amount of structural, or doesn't need a roof. and that we're able to go in and make changes, which is basically a remodel without doing a lot of structural changes, which is a real positive for us. But the ability for us to be able to analyze the property accurately from the very beginning and then have that match up with our actual results and be able to source the property. We don't have special relationships with wholesalers. We don't have special relationships with banks that are feeding us distressed inventory because there's very, very little out there. We got this property simply by hard work of being able to connect with realtors. We want to be their first call for not only them, but also in their offices when they run into a property that it's a estate situation, if it is people who just simply want an easy transaction and they need a quick close to be able to move to a new living situation, or they need a quicker close and they need to be able to stay for 30 days to be able to transition into their new situation, whatever that happens to be. So that's basically it. We wanted to be able to provide the real results, and this was a property, again, that we've completed and closed in the last 45 days. And so we wanted to be able to provide information that is real, that is based in reality, that is actual results from actual properties with actual pictures and actual budgets. So there's nothing special that we've been able to do that would have us be anything special. And anybody could do this if you're trying to start out and do your very first property. So we have the first question that I'd like to go through at this point is from Laura. How long would I flip like this take for someone who has never flipped a house before? I don't think it would be anything different. I mean, a lot of what we've done here, if you follow through what the tasks are for our project management software inside of Fixters, gives us the ability to go through and you can manage the project the same way that we did with your general contractor. So the construction period for it wouldn't have been anything different than what we would have done. So a question from Jim. Can you explain cash on cash number here? This is a loan, not cash. So if you go back to the cash on cash piece, so if you had paid completely using cash for this property, and you were fortunate enough to be able to fund the entire purchase of the $263,000, which is this number right here, plus the rehab and the holding costs for the total investment of $313,000, then this $44,673 would have realized a 14.25% return. So if you had just used cash, no debt whatsoever, without any kind of a loan, then this would have been your return. If you had used a hard money loan and the cash out of pocket would have been 20% of the entire project, then your cash investment would have been $62,707. The interest and the origination for using that money would have ended up being the $5,017 plus the $7,587. That would have reduced your profit down to $32,069, but you only invested $62,000 in cash. So your cash in cash return in this particular case was 51.1%. And I hope that answers your question. And so your numbers would have been significantly better on a cash on cash basis. So the question from Chris, is 12% interest typical for a hard money loan? Chris, we have a number of investors that we work with that we've seen are getting hard money loans at a 2% origination and a 9% interest rate. We've seen a 10% interest rate, and we've seen some lenders, depending on your financial situation, that will give you a 4% origination fee and 14% interest. And we think that it's difficult to be able to make money with that large of a number of points up front for 4% origination and a 14% interest rate. So if the cash on cash concept of being able to go through looking at an all-cash purchase versus looking at hard money is very difficult. And if you want to be able to go through it a little bit deeper, we can do a no-pressure, very simple demo, show you how the software calculates that, and be able to go through it further for you if you'd like to. And then Jim had another question. If it's the same Jim, what else can you do with Fixters software? So the Fixters software allows you to be able to go in, and we've married it up. So the Fixters Academy, if you're new to flipping houses, then you can go through and you're able to use the software, go through our academy, get complete education, and then we provide the Fixters software that allows you to be able to go through. You can evaluate properties. We have partnership with Zillow that provides us with the house information, and then we have a direct relationship with Craftsman Data that provides us with the individual construction pricing down to the zip code level across the entire country that allows you to take the square footage of a property, let you give the fix and flip level of the remodel that's needed, and he give you a quick estimated remodel budget without even seeing the property to see if it's worth your time to go out and see it. Then the software, if you decide to get that property under contract, you can go out as you see the property for the first time. You can do a little bit deeper dive with the budget with our quick scope, and then you can go in and you can see the budget, you get the property under contract, and then as you go through, you can create a complete detailed scope of work, which will allow you to go in, manage the complete project, keep it on track, keep it on budget. It gives you a complete scope of work for your general contractor to be able to manage that and bid the property so that you're all working on the same page to bring it in on schedule. And then to be able to track the materials for the flip for us, and that's a question from Chris, as you go through and you build your complete scope of work, while you're doing that, we have an integration with a partner at Home Depot. And as you're building your complete scope, you're also building the materials list that you need for the individual property. Then as you're complete and you begin to bid your property, you can go ahead and you can order those materials through our website, through Home Depot, and we provide an immediate 8% discount on your order from Home Depot. And then we also provide, in addition to the 8%, a 2% cash rebate that you receive in the form of a check every quarter for the amount of the orders that you place through our site. So it's easy to track the materials, and you're able to bring in the materials delivered either to your property, or you can have the materials picked for you. You can pick them up at your local Home Depot if you prefer to do that. Then Caleb asked a question, what is the best way to find lenders for flipping? Through our site, we've got partnerships with Realty Shares, which is a national hard money lender, as well as Lending One. And those two sites, once you target your property, even before you go out, you can submit the property address. You can fill out 3 simple questions for them, and they will come back and give you a rate quote for that individual property in under 2 minutes. And so we've been able to integrate the lending function inside of our site to be able to give you easy access. And then once you go through and you create the proposal for the property through our Fixters software, you can then submit that to our lenders who are used to seeing our format. And if you've gone through the Fixters Academy, or if you've been working with Fixters, then they will provide a preferential rate for the people that are referred to them from Fixters. So we've been able to try and provide a one-stop shop to be able to give you the lending capability right inside the site. And then David has a question, doesn't your general contractor do the scoping and materials estimate? So, David, the system that we've created for Fixters is designed to be able to appeal to the first-time flipper. And so if this is someone's first or second property, we feel that if they go and they provide the scoping and they provide the materials estimate, if you don't have a deep construction background, you're kind of at the mercy of that general contractor as far as the pricing, and you don't know whether the budget for your remodel should be $35,000 or $65,000. And so with the construction pricing that we've been able to integrate into our complete scope of work through Craftsman data, gives you the ability to have a good target budget, but as you walk the property, you're also able to create a very, very detailed scope of work, and you're able to provide that scope of work by individual categories such as plumbing, electrical, painting, drywall, whatever, demolition, whatever it happens to be, that you can give to your general contractor without pricing, that they can go ahead and then do the scoping. And if they want to be able to provide the materials for you, some of the materials that they want to be able to provide make sense. So things such as mastic, drywall, things that they should be able to provide, the estimate that they would give you from the scope of work that you provide would include those materials. But if you can provide your own materials with your own look, your own feel, and that you can buy at a 10% discount, then you've got control over that, and it's a way for you to be able to control the look. Otherwise, a lot of times your general contractor is the one who's going to Home Depot. They're trying to buy 4 light fixtures, but Home Depot may only have 3 of them in stock. So you're relying on a general contractor's runner who's at Home Depot making your design decisions, and we've never really been comfortable with that. So if you're trying to do multiple properties at one time, as you continue to grow your business, and you may be using more than one general contractor, to be able to have control over your scope so that you know if your budget is accurate and you know if your project is on track from the schedule is very, very important, so that you control the process and you know where you stand at all times. I hope that answers your question, David. So cool. Well, I appreciate everybody being able to tune in. We wanted to be able to keep the webinar at 30 minutes, and I think we were able to do that, and I really appreciate everyone's questions. And as we go through, if you want to learn more about the software program from Fixters, or if you would like to just simply give us a call and talk through some of the cash-on-cash returns or some of the other concepts, or there may be some other questions that you wanted to ask about the project after the webinar, please feel free to reach out. Please feel free to send me an email. I love being able to respond to the questions, and we hope to be able to talk to you soon. So thank you very much. Have a great day, and thanks for tuning in.